you're being involved with the NWA just sort of ends out of nowhere on March 2nd from Cleveland. The Observer had this to say. In the acid flashback moment of the show, Robert Fuller Parker Welch came out doing his WCW Colonel Rob Parker gimmick and introduced Jeff Jarrett doing his old Double J gimmick about being the world's greatest singer, etc., that he did when he came to the WWF years ago, and later talked about how stupid it was. I'm still trying to figure out whether to laugh at him, laugh with him, or cry for him. Jarrett wished the NWA the best of luck, said they weren't ready for a man of his talents and value. Fuller's new managerial name is Tennessee Lee, a takeoff on famous country music promoter and former wrestler Buddy Lee. Jarrett beat Flash Funk with the figure 4 in 3 minutes and 33 seconds with interference from Lee. Oh, and the North American title simply vanished as well. As I like to say, a lot to unpack here, Jeff. I'm probably imagining from your perspective, you're glad to have shed that NWA brand. Certainly it had name and value another time, another place, but here it's not headed in the right direction. But you were wearing NWA gold. That's just now vanished. Now you're put with a manager that we've seen on another program that I think you maybe have some family relationships that go way, way back with. And you're doing your old gimmick, essentially. How in the world do we get here?
Well, Conrad, yeah, like you said, a lot to unpack. I think, man, and when you just said archives, and we're diving into year, it's hard to believe we're starting year 3, Conrad.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, because, well, let me give the set point of all this, because I think it's important for this story that I came back in October. I did the whatever, my version of the pipe bomb or my version of the shoot interview, however you want to lay it out, and came through the curtain, and Stone Cold was not happy with me. And that, that kind of started my re-entry. So now we're 4 or 5 months into that. But during those 4 or 5 months into that, Steve would come out from time to time and stunner me and this and that. And I really hadn't, like you said, I did the NWA thing and the Aztec outfit, and it just kind of bounced around and up and down, and tried to get traction. And the NWA thing, I can remember thinking, okay, that belt's gone. But when you do it, you may help me here on this, because the title of this episode is Tennessee Lee, and what a dynamic. And I'll get into our family history, kind of bounce in and out through this. But do you remember how creative worked at WWE at the time during this? Like, because Cornette, that he was kind of the point person for the NWA. I know Bruce was in there, and of course Russo, and Ed Ferrara and all that. But
hang tight. Ed Ferrara is not here yet.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, Vince Russo isn't even official. He's still technically working for the magazine. So let me just give some context here.
This helps. Yeah.
Russo had been with the WWF magazine, the editor of the magazine, for years at this point. And at some point around the Royal Rumble, 1997, he goes on Livewire and basically says, listen, bro, we all know that Bret Hart's going to win the Royal Rumble. And apparently that led to, as I understand it, a conversation with him and McMahon. And slowly but surely, he started to be present at some of these booking meetings that happen at Vince's house. And he's sort of explaining, hey, I think we're making mistakes with this and we're making mistakes with that. And as I understand it at the time, that table looks like occasionally Kevin Dunn, but pretty consistently Jim Cornette, Bruce Pritchard, Pat Patterson, Vince Russo, and of course, Vince McMahon.
Okay.
It's not until April that it becomes of 98. So we're not yet here because we're talking about March 2nd, that it becomes official that he has a new title, that he's a television writer, and Meltzer would even call him the quote unquote assistant booker for Vince McMahon.
Wow. Okay.
So he's like the assistant to the guy. So that's like his official, unofficial title for Meltzer. But certainly there is a designation made that now he's an official member of the television writing team. Now that He starts attending meetings in 97. It's not until April of 98 that they make it official. And it's not, as I understand it, until June or July of that year, maybe it was June, that Ed Ferrara shows up as like his writing partner, if you will. How are you told we're pivoting and we're going back to the old school Double J character?
That's the kind of thing that I thought through yesterday reading research, Conrad. I don't recall, hey, NWA's over. We showed up and Robert's there, and I'm like, well, I'll be damned, Robert. How you doing, pal? I mean, and again, we had worked together and our families worked together multiple generations, but I didn't know he was coming in until I saw him in the dressing room. I mean, it's the rest of it. It's that's what I'm saying is I'd love to ask, because Bruce will have this recall and Bruce will say, yes, in a meeting, and Vince said, hey, let's go back to Double J. It worked, but we need something different. And I can just see Bruce sit back and go, well, he had a roadie. Let's give him a promoter. Okay, I love it. Who's the promoter going to be? What about Colonel Parker? Okay, that's Elvis's. Just that whole kind of, I can see Bruce's fingerprints all over this, but I don't want to put words in his mouth or thoughts and ideas and all that. I was hoping that my broadcast partner would have the answer, but you don't, but that's all right. No,
but now we're in the Attitude Era, even though we're probably not calling it that yet. We're pushing the limits of things that
we've definitely shifted gears creatively.
And now you're going back to that. And I just feel like I could see how you might think at the time, this is a step backwards. I cut a promo on how stupid this was when I came back.
Yeah.
My first promo here is telling everybody I'm the real Jeff Jarrett, and I'm not putting on that junk, and I'm not playing the games in Atlanta and blah, blah, blah. Fast forward a handful of months. Here you are doing what you made fun of.
Yep.
It feels like a step back. And I know that you are a self-confessed delusional optimist. Did you find out you're doing that when you show up at TV that day and Colonel Robert Parker's there and they're like, hey, we got this horse for you and here's your light up shit? Is that it?
It was NWA bring your Double J in between the weeks of creative, because I had to bring the different outfit, bring your old Double J stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I got to go get that. Yeah. Okay. I got that. What about the jacket? What about the light up? I think we're bringing the light up stuff. Do you have anything, your old stuff? I'm like, well, I got to go get it. Yeah. Conrad, without question, I felt we'll call it the Indian Aztec look.
Mm-hmm. The NWA look.
The NWA look. I thought, okay, this is what they want though, because creative services, I mean, that was, it came from the top. That's why I appreciate the little quick history lesson. So Cornette and Bruce, they were really doing creative during this time, and obviously answered events, but obviously this is what creative wants. We went into the kind of that look. And then when we took a hard left and we, took a step back or went back to the Double J character, I said, hey, delusional optimist, I'm going to do the very best I can with it. I did think the addition of Tennessee Lee had a new twist, and I didn't say it back 20 something years ago, but I felt it. We are the like you said, the Attitude Era wasn't named, but it was really an anti-attitude type character. There was over the top, glitz, glamour, Stone Cold, and even, Brett. There wasn't the flamboyancy. Just that wasn't what it was about. And Sean and others that as the characters got debuted, but we were the anti-Attitude Era type heels.